Доброго дня!
Good afternoon. And we will traditionally hold this briefing exposing the propaganda attacks of the aggressor state, as well as the narratives promoted by the political leadership of the Kremlin. The word was taken by Deputy Chairman of the Security Council of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, a man who once headed this state and even sat with the world leaders of the then G8 at the same table. Now he resorts frankly to statements that can characterize the genocide of the Ukrainian people. He calls into question the possibility of Ukraine's existence as a state, thus justifying the aggressive war that Russia started against Ukraine. Medvedev is quoted by the TASS agency, a Russian state agency. His words in the Russian social network ВКонтакте. Why will Ukraine disappear? Because no one needs it. Medvedev begins the post and further says that the present state of Ukraine is, I quote, a misunderstanding generated by the disintegration of the Soviet Union. No one on the planet needs such a Ukraine, which is why it will not be. That is, with such a statement, the political leadership of Russia openly calls for genocide of Ukrainians and thereby confirms what we have been talking about for more than a year. This is a war for the extermination of all Ukrainians in order to colonize this territory by Russia and establish a favorable political leadership. This thesis is confirmed by the assistant to the president of Russia, Medinsky, who also calls into question the existence of Ukraine as such. This is part of the Russian land. Ukraine is a part of the Russian world. And then he says that there is no conflict with Ukraine in Russia, which of course is a lie. And the very fact that this is a Russian land, according to him, should justify the war that Russia started. Medinsky also lies when he claims that there are different positions among the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian political leadership. We need to separate the Ukrainian regime and the Ukrainian people. Some are ideologically zombied. The latest option polls of the rating group directly indicate that 93% of Ukrainians consider Russia an enemy state, and 4% more consider it rather hostile. That is, there is a complete consensus of Ukrainian citizens that it was Russia who started the war against Ukraine, and not how Russia's leadership is trying to present it. Let's go further and see how Russian propagandists explain the shocking video of another war crime committed by the Russian military, beheading of a Ukrainian soldier. It seems that they explain this by the fact that the purpose of this publication was to show the inhumanity of the Russian army as such a political technology. In fact, this crime was committed by the Russians themselves, and if they committed it, they should bear responsibility for it, and no one else here is to blame for what happened. It is so interesting also how Russia today tries to throw information oil into the fire, claiming that, they say, there are also Ukrainians who call for punishment of Russian prisoners of war, publishing a video of allegedly an unnamed Ukrainian military surgeon, who promises to cut out the organs from Russian military bodies, then to sell them on the black market. This is a lie, and the only goal of this is to create a mirror technology, that is what Russia accuses all mankind of, to put part of the responsibility on Ukraine. This technology is not used for the first time, but throughout the war, as well as the fake published by the military TV channel of Russia, Zvezda, that they say America has resumed the program of construction of biological laboratories in Ukraine. This fake has long been debunked by the Russian scientists themselves, that there have never been any biolaboratories in Ukraine, and the only purpose of these fakes is to justify the war against Ukraine, while making the context that this war not only against Ukraine, but also against a collective West that is fighting in this territory. Well, the narrative continues to circulate in the Russian propaganda media that the president of Ukraine allegedly promised to give part of territories to Poland in return for military assistance. So a kind of political scientist, Kornilov, who once lived in Ukraine for a long time and now fled from our state, in an interview with Russia Today, argues that Zelensky followed in the footsteps of Petlura and promises the Poles the same thing as another unfulfilled Ukrainian dictator offered a century ago: land and people in exchange for military assistance. It is an absolute fake. After all, President Zelensky said in his statement during his visit to Poland that there will be no borders between Ukraine and Poland because Ukraine will be part of a united Europe, a member of the European Union and NATO, and all other manipulations are only intended to justify Russia's aggression against Ukraine. They say not only Russia has such malicious intentions about our lands. Well, as always, it is fun to expose the fake Polish edition, which was created by propagandists of Russia Today, which is called the Independent Political Magazine, where the narrative is also repeated that they say the president of Ukraine promises Poland the western territory of Ukraine. This material is signed by a certain author of this portal, Marek Galas. Journalists found out that such a person does not exist in nature. He was searched for by Polish journalists, but they didn't find him. To illustrate his face, he used photo of a Lithuanian doctor who has nothing to do with journalism at all, and the translation of articles in Polish is made by automatic translators online. In general, this portal does not publish its own materials, except propaganda, simply translated from the publications of Russia Today. The traditional call at the end of the briefing is unchanged. If you live abroad, watch Freedom TV channel or Ukrainian international broadcasting in English and Russian, as well as watch Ukrainian official media and trust the Ukrainian political and military leadership. See you.
До зустрічі!